Welcome to Prairie Days. I'm Michelle Van Manen. Whenever you attend a big event like the annual Sidewalk Arts Festival here in Sioux Falls, you're sure to meet a lot of different people with a wide range of backgrounds.
I'm French, English, and Indian.
Irish, German, and a little bit of Bohemian.
I'm Irish, German, and Dutch.
Those different backgrounds are what this special edition of Dakota Life is all about. Our crews recently traveled across South Dakota in search of heritage celebrations. Along the way, we found entire communities that keep centuries-old customs alive. We also met a lot of people with a passion for their past. Our first segment takes us to the rich farmland of southeastern South Dakota for a heritage celebration that has drawn visitors from around the world for over half a century.
Once a year, the calm of this quiet countryside gives way to the spirited sounds of celebration. In town, Main Street is a mix of festival standards, the crowds, the floats, and the food. But what everyone here knows is that this gathering has more meaning than most. Young or old, local or visitor, they're here to pay homage to Taber's unique history.
Well, the first settlement that came here, they were all Czech people. Actually, we had almost 100% Czech people. Our ancestors were all Czech, but we continued to keep some of the habits, and we taught the language.
For 2 days each June, Taber's population swells from just over 400 to nearly 10,000 as folks gather to celebrate Czech Days.
I think local cooperation helps a lot. Everybody in town gets involved, and we all help each other. Every January we go to here when the legislature are in session and to promote our celebration, and we hand out free kolaches to all the legislators and lobbyists.
I believe last year we had like 29 states and 6 foreign countries register. So they come from all over. And we get telephone calls from all over because the phone calls come, the Chamber of Commerce phone number happens to be our home. So we send out brochures, and those go all over the United States.
Actually, planning for this celebration of Czech heritage starts weeks, even months in advance. And one of the things that really needs to be done is the baking of tens of thousands of these traditional Czech pastries called kolaches.
Kolaches and Czech people are a combination.
And we never have a problem getting rid of them. We could always have more of them on Czech days, but...
Arlene Kreneisel and Mildred Simple learned the art of making kolaches from their mothers.
I think last year they had like
1,500 dozen.
It was more than that, I thought.
And they sold them all.
Okay, I'll put my sugar in here, and my oil, and my salt, and my 2 eggs. And then we're going to beat this up a little bit here. I put it in my bowl and then it'll start rising. So you can just tell how soft it is. And I'll just knead it a little bit. And this will let rise up again. And then it goes to this stage right here. Well, now my little balls have gotten to where we can make the indents in there to put the filling in.
The variety of fillings has changed.
Yeah.
Used to be basically prune and poppy seed and maybe cottage cheese.
Maybe cottage cheese, and now it's,
everything.
The apricot is prepared, and the poppy seed, the cherry, I made my own out of pie filling.
Our Altar Society are expected to donate, and the donation is 5 dozen. A matter of fact, we make enough money to keep our organization functioning for the whole year without doing anything else over check days by our serving of food. And I'm also part of the Region Auxiliary, and we can say the same thing there. We do not have to do any other fundraising.
Like the raw ingredients turned into Czech delicacies, so too raw talent is trained for another important part of Czech Days, the Beseda dance.
Wait for the music. Beseda means company, or as you would say, if I'm going to your place, I'd be company. Well, that would be Beseda. This was brought over to the United States by the immigrants as they came here. They got it all going back in 1936. They started with one group of 8 people, and from then on it has grown. And it is basically, it's a dance of waltzes and polkas, and there's many dance movements in the dance.
While kids of all ages dance the Beseda, it's an older generation that prepares the pageantry.
Step ladder here and get up on there.
Oh, I'm not talking to you. Wait a minute, hold still.
We're just a group of old-timers that are hanging in there, and so we just have a float, and we do quite well, I must say. We've got a lot of trophies. You know, some towns don't have that many floats anymore. They'll maybe just have decorated pickup, you know, put a sign on it or something. But our town usually goes with the floats. We kind of are noted, I think, for the floats here.
Put the red over it.
These are the members of Tabor's Czech Heritage Preservation Society.
We're going with an old custom here. We make noodles, so it'll be noodle time. And we're gonna have kind of an old-fashioned, the ladies will have old-fashioned dresses and so on, and they'll be making noodles.
Once the collages have all been baked and the dancers have practiced each and every step, it's time for the celebration to begin.
So many of our young people all come home at this time. And if you want to see a lot of people that from long ago, you just sit on a bench on the street and you'll see and meet a lot of people that you knew a long time ago. There's still some of us here that speak the language. You talk Czech a lot. Like vítáme vás, everybody says, meaning we welcome you. And then there's little things, you tell them dobrý den, good day, or nashledanou till we meet again, and things like that.
One float I wrote on was we were saying Czech words as we went along.
What kind of Czech words?
Maminka for mother, tatínek for father, babička for grandmother, dobro noc for good day, and dobrý den for good night.
We're proud of our heritage here in Tabor, the Czech heritage, and therefore we try to teach our younger people to follow in the footsteps of what we're doing. It's a kind of a reunion for all of our kids from the time they were little and they're grown up and gone about their jobs throughout the world. They still like to come back here for Czech Days because they know the others are going to be here too.
We come back every single year. I've missed 2 and I'm 34 this year. And the heritage, I guess, has always kept us strong because our parents did it, our grandparents did it, their parents, I'm sure, had something to do with the heritage.
I made a new costume this year, so I get to try it out and wear it and see what everybody thinks of it.
All the children want to know the heritage. This is my first year, but some of the other children have been here before. And we're going to the museum and to the Catholic Church, and then there's a Nedved Cemetery, and we're going to go see that too.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. What do you like best about it?
The parade. Got a lot of candy, got a lot of toys. Pretty soon we're going to go on the rides.
What's the back of your shirts all say anyway?
Well, United we stand, Kolaches we love.
During Czech Days, being of Czech heritage is nice, but not necessary. Visitors find that welcoming small-town feeling no matter what their ancestry.
You know, in a small town, people, they care more. You find comfort in your neighbor, whereas like in a big city, you don't see that much. You don't see the whole big city getting together. And, you know, so the uniqueness about a small town is that everybody gets together, and that's why the festival turns out so wonderful.
I think that's very sad that people lose their heritage. I don't care if they're German or Swedish or whatever they are, but they should be proud of their heritage, just as we are proud of our Czech heritage.
One of the elements that makes Czech Days so successful every year is the dedication of the organizers. Most of the people we interviewed for that story have been involved in the celebration since the very beginning.
What's your ethnic heritage?
German and Irish.
100% Chinese.
I'm German, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, and maybe some more, I don't know.
While some festivals honor individual ethnic heritage, some celebrate our common past. When we traveled to the western part of the state, we came across a festival that welcomes people of all ethnic backgrounds. It seems appropriate that each July 4th, cowboys and cowgirls celebrate their independence by kicking up their boots, putting on their nicest blue jeans, and breaking out their best hats. It's about who can ride the longest, who's fastest, and two of the things Americans love most, family and friends.
You've got your world champion cowboys that show up to this rodeo. July 4th is called the Cowboy Christmas, and we have a lot of world champion cowboys passing through from here going on to another rodeo.
This is one of the best, truly Western festivals, if you want to call it that. Tourists, they love to see the Western atmosphere.
There used to be an announcer here by the name of Dwayne Peters, and he told me, he says, when you think of rodeo, you're going to think of Belle Fourche.
It's the Black Hills Roundup, once known as the Tri-State Roundup. It started in 1918 in the midst of World War I as a Red Cross benefit for the boys overseas. 82 years later, the event still takes place next to the Belle Fourche River and centers around the 4th of July. Although the date and location have not changed, there have been a number of changes to the festival itself.
There are a number of activities. I think the main thing with the Black Hills Roundup is that we're truly trying to have a family focus. The rodeo is something that of course has been in place for 82 years, but over the course of the years we've expanded where there have been carnivals, there used to be street dances. We have fireworks at Ormond Dam that are a major family activity that people attend. We've expanded into the Arts Festival in the park, and we have just tried to broaden the activities so that we can draw more people into the community for our celebration. I think a lot of it is the tradition and the fact that many people have families here, and as young people they've been involved in the Black Hills Roundup. Each year it's been a celebration from this community and people have been attracted back. One major event that on the 4th of July that has been ongoing is our 4th of July parade. And I would say that we attract probably over 10,000 people into the community for that parade.
Karen Wagner will be the first woman to chair the roundup. As her daughter Samantha explains, there has only been one thing that's kept her mother from attending.
They were going to the parade, and then my mom said that she's going to have me, so we had to go to the hospital, so we never made it to the parade.
In 1989, I was expecting Samantha, and we'd predicted that probably she would be due on the 4th of July. But we had planned to attend the parade here in Belle Fourche for the roundup. And that morning I went into labor, and instead of making it to the roundup, we ended up in the hospital and we had Samantha. And my husband, as I was in labor, continued to encourage me that if I hurried, we could still make the parade.
carnival used to be on Main Street, very main street. And they also had a dance floor there. And that was the big event after the rodeo, was the dance, the open air dance. And they had big orchestras. And I worked at the theater at the time, and I didn't get off work till about midnight or so. And so we danced most of the night, seldom went to bed during the 4th of July. And I remember walking home one night barefooted. My feet were so tired.
Although Main Street no longer hosts a street dance, the street is still filled with lots of kids laughing, adults having fun, and lots of rides.
Of course, no celebration would be complete without good food and a place to shop. Set up in the park downtown, Roundup goers can see some of South Dakota's own artists along with their artwork.
Whether it's the parade, the carnival, or the art festival in the park, it's the rodeo that attracts Roundup goers from all over the country to Belle Fourche, South Dakota. But the Cowboys know they have one main goal, and it only lasts 8 seconds. Let's leave the bull riding to the Cowboys. Now let's go check out the rodeo.
Let's do it right now! Ho! Ladies and gentlemen, oh yeah, we're did it again. Go Frontier! South Dakota Bullbusters!
A lot of towns will have a big PRCA rodeo and most of the town won't even care anything about it. But this town rallies around it. The volunteers that make this happen, you know, it's just amazing. It's overwhelming. It's really actually refreshing to me as a professional rodeo announcer in the PRCA to work with such a great group of people like this.
The Cowboy Band has been performing at the Roundup since 1931. This colorful group not only brings music to the celebration, it brings a piece of patriotism. But to get these rodeo fans on their feet, it takes a little rock and roll.
Belle Fourche, come on, get on your feet!
First time I performed here was probably in, I would guess it was probably in '52. The first time we came to the rodeo, we was here with a specialty act, a horse act, a Roman riding act, and then since that time, well, I was still in high school when we was here the first time, and then later in years I started contests and clown, fight bulls, and then my dad purchased a buffalo or 2 buffalo from right out here at the Glen Morgan Ranch, and got them started, and it's history after that.
Jerry Olson, a son of Belle Fourche, was a world-renowned entertainer and often provided the entertainment during the Roundup Rodeo. Jerry was inducted into the Rural Rodeo Hall of Fame in Colorado. Like Jerry, there are so many that bring color and history to the Roundup.
I don't remember this, but my mother told me that we always came for the Black Hills Roundup. We came in a covered wagon, and we camped out behind these bleachers that we're sitting in, because these are the original bleachers that was built. And we camped for all the days that they had the rodeo, you know. And it was just part of our life. Everybody came. We at that time were the only rodeo in the area. Cheyenne, of course, was a granddaddy rodeo of all. But we were the granddaddy of South Dakota. and we drew from all over the country.
Rodeo's changed immensely. It's and of course for us old timers, we like to hang on to the past, but it's great. There's more. They've got the national finals at Las Vegas now, and they win as much money there as they win all year in one rodeo. And yeah, rodeo's it's become a professional sport, and it used to be a part-time thing for people, you know, and it's gotten great. I've met so many great young guys, and from South Dakota right here, we've got some of the greatest talent in rodeo.
For 3 days, this sleepy little town of Belle Fourche comes alive. The tired cowboys, dusty summer air, and excited rodeo fans bring a sense of freedom and honor for all who participate, making it a true all-American festival.
It's amazing what started out as a fundraiser during World War I turned into over 80 years of fun, food, and games. The Roundup now attracts close to 10,000 people, and organizers expect it to keep getting bigger.
What ethnic heritage are you?
I'm German.
I'm a lot of different things, not one more than the other.
I'm from India.
I'm German.
For our next story, we went to the northeastern part of the state for another all-American celebration, this time in honor of South Dakota's agricultural past. We met some dedicated folks who for one weekend a year use traditional farming methods and vintage equipment to celebrate the culture of the plains.
Here's Clayton McLean from Rutland, folks, on the drag right there. Clayton.
In 1913, Rossholt, like many South Dakota communities, got its start as a railroad town, founded to help farmers get their grain to market. Nearly a century later, ag producers continued to deliver their products to the still active rail line, but farming methods have greatly improved.
I think the community involvement is what makes this neat. The old timers tell about when they used to thresh that was the highlight. It was one of the harder parts of the year as far as labor goes, but the neighbors all got together and they came together and worked together. They did a lot of hard work, but they had a lot of fun. And that's what we find with our threshing bee. We have members from 3 states, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, because we're right in the corner. We all work together for one common cause to put on the show. And it is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So it's nice to see people working on the same project to get it to work.
The town of just over 400 people has hosted up to 5,000 visitors for the annual event. Many of the volunteers who organize the parade, operate the threshers, and cut the sod with horse-drawn plows can remember attending threshing bees as children. Westby hopes that younger Rossholt residents will keep those memories alive for years to come through the festival.
Well, we hope that it will continue and get passed down, but I tell you what, it is a concern, because a lot of our members that you film or see here today are retired plus. Our Grand Marshal today is 86 years old, and his wife is close to that, but Wally McKee is 86, and Cal Seeley's birthday is today, and he's also 86. They're 2 of our senior members. And we need young people to replace these people as they retire and are no longer involved with the show. So we hope that there's going to be enough young people to continue this tradition. We have a lot of young people, a lot of young members now. And it's surprising, every year we get a few more young people involved, and we get a lot of people that have never been associated with it before that find it fun. So we hope that we can replace the people as they age with younger people. We need to do that, or otherwise it'll die.
Speaking of the younger people, what do you hope they're taking away from this celebration?
Well, some history, how things used to be done in the old days. We hope they take with them how much we all rely on nature to harvest a crop, to raise a crop, and to harvest it. We hope they take home working together to achieve a goal, and sharing in the hard work and the fun and the laughter both.
You're a farmer. Do you think that the couple of days you spend working at the Threshing Bee Festival gives you an appreciation for what you have to do on a daily basis on your farm, or what you don't have to do these days on your farm?
What we don't have to do. Yes, it does. We take a lot of our machinery nowadays for granted. Years ago it was all labor intensive, and when you look at the numbers back in the early 1900s and how things have evolved from labor intensity to replace manpower, it's unbelievable what technology and machinery has done. So it does make us appreciate. We always joke about when we're loading bundles that if we had to do it this way with our whole operation, none of us would be farming that much land. Because it is very labor intensive compared to how you sit in the new combines nowadays.
Men aren't the only ones providing a helping hand during the two-day festival. The women of the Rossholt area pitch in just as ladies did during threshing bees in the past. Avis Brandenberger is a member of the board of directors of the Rossholt Threshermen's Association. Her job is to maintain and operate the cook car.
Well, that usually went along with the threshing rig. They had a steamer or whatever. Many bundle teams went with it. There were a lot of hired men. And there were usually 2 ladies in the cook car that went with the machines and the horses. Every morning they would cook breakfast, a big breakfast. It was hash browns, meat, whatever, eggs. And then they had to have the bread baked for the day. They baked bread every day. And then they'd have to have, you couldn't serve a meal without pie. So they'd bake the pies, and they'd probably have 20, 25 to cook for. And they did it all with a wood stove, hotter than the dickens in there. And they'd have to carry the water. And then after the breakfast, they cleaned up. They made the forenoon lunch. That was taken out to the threshing rig. By that time, they had their dinner going. They got that cleaned up. Then they would have their afternoon coffee, get that ready to go. Then they'd do the supper for all of them. And after they cleaned that up, then they'd set their bread for the next day and get things lined up for that. It was a very hard chore. And they would sleep right in the cook car. They had their beds would fold up against the wall during the day, and then at night they'd drop them down, make them up and sleep.
Avis has been on the board of directors for the past 8 years. She says more ladies and more young people join the group each year. At the last meeting before the festival, over 60 members attended, and many more residents volunteered their efforts.
They come, they're willing to work. We don't have any one boss. We can say Rodney Westby is because he's our president, but nobody is the boss. They throw everything in a hat and discuss it and change it, and if they don't think it'll work, it's fixed. And it's fun. The only requirement to be a member is a good sense of humor, because boy, if you haven't got it, you're gonna be in trouble.
What do you think it does for the community of Rossholt? Does it bring you closer together?
Yes, it does. And it's not only Rossholt. We have people from New Effington, Wheaton, and Fairmont that come. And we even have some from Sisseton. And it's just great to see everybody working together. You don't see that much anymore, but when it comes threshing bee time, everybody is there. If somebody isn't done harvesting, well, they'll go and help them get done harvesting so they can come too and help. And it really works nice.
An important element in any celebration is food. The Rossholt Threshing Bee includes standard junk food such as hamburgers, hot dogs, and walking tacos, but the most important food at the festival is lefse.
I guess it's because this is, well, it's traditionally Scandinavian and German. And we have a lot of Scandinavians that have grown up with it, probably don't know how to make it, and they just love it. And we have tried to get somebody from the German descent to do something ethnic for us, but nobody knows what to make. The only thing they ever made was sausage. Well, no, that's not true, but they just don't come forward to do it for us.
People do come forward by the thousands to enjoy the food, watch the parade, and appreciate the lifestyle of their forefathers.
Well, we usually come every year. It's a family event, and Vanessa usually
goes in the tractor pedal pull, and the hay. She looks for the coins in the hay, and we enjoy the parade also.
Does it bring back any memories in particular?
Oh, yes. A lot of hard work. That makes it a lot easier nowadays.
Makes you feel better about living in the new century?
You bet. Uh-huh. Yeah, driving in air-conditioned tractors instead of out in the hot heat, and meet a lot of old friends and people. And
do you come every year?
We have been.
Yes.
Yeah, we always have.
Modern ag producers are interested in harnessing horsepower with the turn of a key. Yesterday's farmers were also interested in power, both horses and steam. Joe Steinhagen of Ferreta, Minnesota has been showing his steam-powered engine at festivals for over 8 years. It's a popular attraction in Rosholt.
It's far different than a gasoline engine. You've got a completely different ball game to work with. And that's what, I just had to know what made them go. And once I found out, I just had to have one.
Tell me about the year, the model, everything about the engine.
1913 case, 60 horse. It weighs about 21,000 pounds. When it was new, it was sold for approximately $2,000. This one, I think, seen a lot of sawmill work in its life because the gearing on it is pretty good. It was saved during the war. I think probably it was actually hid somewhere during the war. And a collector sold it to a man in Glenwood, and I bought it from him about 10 years ago now. So I like helping out the small towns. I don't go to the big shows as my engine because then you're just a number there. But these small towns, you get involved with everybody that's part of the show. It really works out well. You meet a good bunch of people, and it just they're friendly, and it works well. Everybody does multiple jobs, so it's a good atmosphere. I like working with it.
The town of Rosholt is vibrant for its size. Townspeople work to provide for the future while preserving their heritage and passing on the customs that settled this land.
Rural people, the homesteaders, I feel, are probably the backbone that built this country, and hopefully we can carry some of that history on to our children and their children, and that's why I'd like to see this continue in the future, just for that reason, to preserve some heritage there.
With farming methods improving so much over the last several decades, you might expect interest in the old ways to fade away. Not so, say the organizers in Rosholt, who have seen larger and larger crowds every year.
What ethnic heritage are you?
I'm half Danish and part German, and I'm not sure what the other half or the other part is.
Half Dutch, half Danish.
I'm German and Dutch.
German and Norwegian.
As South Dakota cultural festivals go, one in the southern part of the state has stayed true to its origins for well over 125 years. Sure, there have been a few changes in that time, like the addition of carnival rides and food vendors, but the core of the celebration is and always has been a 3-day gathering that allows everyone to enjoy each other's company, share a meal, and celebrate the past year in song and dance.
I like to call this one the State Fair of the reservation because it all culminates right here end of August, right before school. Yeah, but it's just a come together thing for everybody to celebrate because of a hard summer or something like that. Good crops, and it's just a fun time. Everybody comes to have fun.
The annual Sundance used to take place like in July, when everything was ripe. You know, and there was a lot of traditional Lakota culture based their lives on a hunting and gathering economy, and of course the gathering was, picked from, what grew wild, and middle of summer was pretty much the sort of like the picking season, So it was right during that time that they had the annual Sundance and the get together.
I think the only reason why they did it at that time, they might have came back sometime around then. It was a time to come back and settle down because they like to migrate, you know. They used to migrate all around, follow the buffalo and stuff, and then around fall time they come in and settle down in this area because around that time all the choke cherries are black and all the plums are getting red, you know, and all these different things that they could, you know, prepare for the winter. So it was like a harvest type.
The Rosebud Fair celebrates a rich heritage and culture. Included in that is the tradition of providing everyone with free meals for the duration of the festivities. Workers, participants, and visitors are all invited to partake in each of these public feeds. These meals date back to the very early days of these yearly gatherings, when people would assemble to hunt game and gather wild fruits. The Lakota believe they should share whatever they may have with their guests.
It's like being designated a chief. When you're designated a chief, you're required to feed the public. See? So all these people get together, and they're the ones that collect the food. You know, they get the food, and they, you know, it's a great honor to be designated, like, for example, president of the powwow. And what you do is you use just not just your own family, immediate family, but you use your extended family. You know, we consider relationship with extended family, not just the nuclear family, but it goes out. So whenever, let's say, if I was elected president of the Rosebud Fair, it was my responsibility to feed the people, at least for one day. Okay, so I would save up for the year and get ready for it, and then gather all the food that is necessary to feed the people on that particular day.
Last year, our head cook went, he told us that the last bowl of meat and vegetables and soup that he scraped out of the bottom of the pot, it's pretty good sized meat, you know, went to the last person in line. You know, and so it was, you know, it was pretty amazing. And so this year, he said, it kind of scared me. He said, so this year I want to make sure I have more than that, you know, in case somebody else decides to run in late or somebody wants more and comes back, you know, or something. Yeah.
One item that there is always plenty of is fry bread. Because of the very basic nature of the recipe and the simple ingredients, fry bread is a staple at many gatherings. Not only is it filling, it's downright tasty.
Just flour, powdered milk, baking powder. Baking powder is the best kind of fry bread. They come out browner, bigger, and thicker, and that's what people like. Normally I use syrup, corn syrup, and that holds the flour together more. But in this case we have to use sugar because the health specialist comes around and checks our stuff. This afternoon I made at least 50, and in the evening times it's more. I usually make more because it's cooler and it's easier to work. Then it all depends how many people we have coming too. Here I've been trying to make the bread a little bit bigger so we can satisfy the people. I'm not the type, that makes those little bitty ones. I like the great big fry bread. Like a big air bubble. And you can lift it up and let it out and it'll brown even, but I usually like to leave it that way. When you put the taco stuff in there, it'll have like a little bowl. And we make Indian tacos, and that's where you put the hamburger, lettuce, and all the good stuff on there. And then you can just buy the fry bread by itself and put honey, and it tastes good.
Like many of the community celebrations around the state, the Rosebud Fair features carnival rides and midways. But to really appreciate the culture and the heritage of the fair, you need to head over to the powwow grounds. Here, visitors will have the opportunity to see the very heart of the fair. Throughout the event, the grounds are filled with dancers of all ages. each dancer sharing their spirit as they dance to the sound of the drums.
Spectators will have plenty of opportunity to watch these contest dances. And that's where it gives you an opportunity to see what different kinds of dances there are and different kinds of costumes. You know, if you have like the women have traditional dancers that have like beaded dress and lots of costume on, and they dance in one place, or kind of a slow traditional women's type of dance. And they also have what they call a shawl dance, where there's a lot of costume, but the women wear a shawl, and they do a little bit more fancy work when they're dancing, fancy footwork and a lot of body movement, So they have a category for that. So they have an opportunity to observe that, and see how that's done. And then there's another category for women that's called the jingle dress.
Each dress is adorned with hundreds of silver jingles, which are made from Copenhagen tops rolled into the shape of bells. One of the more popular categories is the traditional dance. It can be learned, but it really comes from inside.
And I always used to come here and watch the men, my uncles, my grandfather's dance. And it was always in me. I just didn't have no one actually to show me. When I came back from the service, I really yearned. And so they just told me basic steps, and the rest of it is your own style, but there's basic rules of keeping in time with the drum. There's honor beats. You'll notice them when they're singing, they'll hit the drum hard while the rest are drumming light. The lead singer will hit the drum 4 times real hard, maybe 6. And they usually, the main traditional dancers will go down, symbolic to be like a sneak up, or they call it kuchila. Get down low because you're sneaking up on the enemy.
The highlight of each performance comes when the fancy dancers take to the ring. Each contestant creates their own routine and throws their entire body into the dance.
Our elders, long time ago, the younger generation was pretty energetic and kind of bored with the traditional dance, so they came up with a thing called Crazy Man's Dance. So that's more or less what this is, modern day dance. A lot of them have their own tribal colors. A lot of them just start putting regalias together and they come up with their own unique designs and colors. And
how did you come up with yours?
Mine, I sat down one day and started doing my beadwork, and there's a little bit of orange in here, so I wanted to highlight the orange in my beadwork. So I come up with a lot of orange and white. To me, it's a really spiritual thing, even though it's a modern day dance, but still real spiritual to me. It comes from my heart. I'm dancing for all my veterans that fought so that we can be free today. And especially my brothers and sisters and my family that's not able to come out and dance today. My ancestors also.
When you come to the Rosebud Fair, bring an open heart and a willingness to learn about a people whose culture defines their lives.
There's a lot of misconception about Indian people in the United States. Some of them, even the East Coast, think we still live in teepees and all that. And we just invite them here to learn about us. Everybody's learning every day, and if they want to come down, sure, they're welcome. Half of Sioux Falls will come, sure, we'll find a place for you. It's just that, like I say, the way I am, I enjoy people, I want everybody to be together as one. And this is the friendliest place to do it, too, to our power.
The Rosebud Fair takes place the 4th weekend of August each year, and everyone is welcome.
What's your ethnic heritage?
Irish and Danish.
Irish and Norwegian.
I'm half Italian and half Greek.
German.
For our final story, we went out west once again to visit a heritage festival that can be heard long before it can be seen. It's a sound like no other and seems to beckon all within earshot to come to the northern Black Hills.
The Squirrel of the Pipes are calling for a gathering of the clans. From the north and south they'll be coming, from the east and west as well. The clans, they are a gathering. They come for the games and camaraderie. They come for the music and the food. They come to be together as kith and as kin.
No, you're not in Scotland, Ireland, or Wales, but you are in the land of Celts. This is the Black Hills Highland Festival and Scottish Games, an annual gathering of people celebrating their Celtic roots.
First started in 1897 under the stewardship of Clan Stewart, this festival drew hundreds from surrounding towns eager to share their cultural heritage. The festival thrived until shortly after World War I and then faded into history. But fortunately for Sturgis, some people cherish their cultural bonds.
Well, it got started a number of years ago when my wife Elizabeth and I started going to Scottish festivals in the United States. That interest intensified over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And we got very involved in Clan Campbell, North America. And I became chaplain for a number of Scottish games. And then we moved to the Black Hills. And we said, wouldn't it be fun to start some Scottish games in the Black Hills? Only to find out that there had been some back in 1897. So we just started up something that faded out around World War I.
When a person hears the bagpipes, if they like it, they probably are a Celt at heart. If they don't, they don't. And it's the same way with festivals. If you get to a festival, you just want to be everywhere all day long and just soak it up. And another way you could look at it, it's kind of like you're fixed for the year, keeps you going. It makes you feel like you belong somewhere.
Clan Stewart continues to play a role in the revived festival in the person of Barbara Lutz, granddaughter to the festival founder, Gregor Cruikshank.
My grandfather came over here from Scotland in 1883, and he started working for the homestake. Well, the clan people are very, they're very close-knit. They love to be a part of themselves. So they started the clans, and of course, Gregor was not only a dancer, but he was a bagpiper, and his two brothers, Duncan and Alex. Duncan was the bagpiper major, and Alex was a dancer. So they had enough just within their family to get this started, and there seemed to be a great need for it.
Pipers, drummers, singers, and dancers, this festival has it all, including its very own knight, Sir Wayne McAfee, host to the 2001 festival.
I was knighted in the Order of St. George, and St. George is the oldest order of knights in the world. It was founded in 312 by Constantine the Great. I was the 32nd American to ever receive it, and that was in 1994. In my research that I've done on the Celtic families, it's a calling of the family back together, and this trend is getting greater and greater in the United States. I'm glad to see it because over the years, I've put over 150 of my family back in communications with each other by traveling the United States and doing these festivals. And I think a lot of other people are going to find the same thing. They're going to find family they didn't even know existed.
No festival would be complete without food. And Scottish food not only takes some time to prepare, it takes a bit of getting used to.
The haggis is a traditional meat sausage of Scotland. And the haggis was done inside the sheep's stomach, which was a convenient container in which to cook it. It was made with lamb heart, lamb oatmeal, Scottish oatmeal, which is roasted and milled, onions, cracked black pepper. Beef suet was used because most people don't like the taste of lanolin, and that you will get if you use lamb suet. And then the other ingredient that normally would be in a haggis is the lights or the lungs. USDA will not approve that in this country, so we substitute a little beef heart. And it's a very, very good sausage. If you're used to eating a hot dog, you've eaten everything that's in a haggis, and a whole bunch of things you probably don't want to know about.
In days gone by, the women would put their husband's lunch in a cloth bag and heave it across the river, hence the origin of the haggis toss.
Like the food, the games take a lot of preparation. But first, I have to figure out what to do with this thing.
Nice throw. I'll tell you, this is really an excellent competition. Okay, Wisconsin. Chet Weymouth. And he gets a good one and almost nails one of our officials. They do get 20 extra points if they wipe out one of the officials.
One of the primary goals of this festival is to keep alive the heritage, history, and genealogy of those Celts who settled in this region of the United States.
So much of our history, particularly in South Dakota, is Scottish and Irish immigrants. They came to the hills, they helped in the railroad, they helped in the mines. Most of the Scottish big cattle ranches started before the turn of the century. So there are a lot of us here.
It becomes a family reunion time when we can really be and be recognized by who we are as a people of Scots-Irish descent. So that's what it is for me, is a gathering of the clan. We're migrating people. So, and they're definitely going to go to the highlands of South Dakota, which are our Black Hills, because that's what they recognize as home.
Oh, he'll take the high road, and I'll take the low road. I'll be in Scotland a party, but me and my true love will never meet again.
I love this festival. I love the people, the history here, the beauty of it. And you know, it's growing. It's growing every year. It started out very small with just a few people's dream, and it's grown from there, and every year better and better. Look at it this year. It's wonderful.
We've never been here before. We've played fairly large festivals throughout the States, and we're not really fond of the larger festivals. You just kind of get lost in it. And so in the smaller festival situation, you actually get to meet the people and have a chat with them, so there's a number of small festivals that we'd like to go to, and Tom Campbell expressed an interest in us coming out, and we knew that we were just returning from Ireland and Scotland, and that we would be available. So a number of things came together to make it happen, but we're glad we came out. It's been a lot of fun.
We really enjoy audiences that seem to connect themselves before we play. And you can tell that by the volume of conversation that's going on amongst people, and we could hear it here. You know, obviously it's a community that know each other, and we feel very comfortable in that environment because that's the environment in which we were raised.
I think it's really important to get to the children, you know. It doesn't matter whether they're Scottish or Irish background, they could be Hispanic, they could be Native American, it doesn't matter. It's experience this music and this culture, and we'll experience theirs even.
No Highland Festival would be complete without music, and music to the soul of a Scot would not be music without the bagpipe. Has the traditional sound of the pipes changed over the years?
We still have that traditional sound. The drones are still tuned to a specific note on the bagpipe. The only thing that we've changed is the actual pitch of the instrument has risen slightly, and can be and is tweaked quite a bit higher than its original pitch. It creates a bit more of a brightness to the sound, creates a little cleaner sound, a little easier to get it tighter. Okay, keep blowing. It's got a squeak. We've got to get a squeak. There she is.
All right, I think I need a little more practice.
We only do it because we love doing it. It's a toll taker, but Elizabeth and I absolutely love our heritage, we love our festival, we love the Black Hills, and we wanted to contribute something to this little town of Sturgis. And as you probably know, Sturgis is noted for another event during the summer, and we wanted to make sure that people know that Sturgis also has an event like this.
South Dakota should be proud of its cultural diversity. It makes no difference if you're Norwegian, Russian, German, Scot, Irish, or Welsh. At the Black Hills Highland Festival and Games, we're all kith and kin.
If the sound of the pipes and the beat of the drums have your heart pumping, perhaps you have a little Celtic blood running in your veins. Even if you don't, you may want to think about attending next year's event. You can check their schedule on the internet at blackhillshighlandfestival.com. That's it for this special Prairie Days edition of Dakota Life. We hope you find some inspiration in the folks who so actively celebrate their heritage. We also hope you'll give your own heritage some thought, because by remembering the past, we set the stage for the future. From the Sidewalk Arts Festival in downtown Sioux Falls, I'm Michelle Van Manen. Thanks for watching.